Thanks for coming. My name is Drussel. I work in real estate. I'm a real estate consultant, so of course I'll be talking about nutrition, right? It's a natural fit. So actually this all came about because, I guess my story is I worked out a lot through high school and in college, and then as I got into the professional arena, I was focused on my career, and I got married and had kids, and so all of a sudden my own personal health kind of took a back seat, and then took a further back seat, and then it was back behind the back seat. It was so far back that so I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but it was when working in real estate, I worked some crazy hours. I mean, there's some days I'd be out meeting people early in the morning, I'd be out late at night, and so by doing that, I would kind of sacrifice certain meals. I'd say, oh, you know what, I forgot to bring something for lunch today, but I don't have time, so I'm just going to go. And there were a lot of days I'd leave without breakfast, and I'd just skip lunch, and I'd eat dinner really late. And I thought, well, can't be bad for me. I'm not really eating any calories, so that's good. My calories are low, so hey, that's good for me. But what I started to realize pretty quick is that my health wasn't the greatest. I wasn't getting any calls from Nike for corporate sponsorships or anything, and so that wasn't happening anytime soon. So I started to make some changes, and I started to associate with people who were successful and that were healthy, and I started to go online and look to people who could be people I could relate to and kind of see the journey they went to. And so as I've looked at that journey, I've been kind of drawn to certain people, and so some of the speakers that we'll have today are people that were great inspirations to me. And so I look at people like Drew Manning, and I kind of watched his journey as and he'll share his story a little bit later, but it's amazing to see what he went through. And as I watched and I looked on and watched him online, and I watched virtually what he is going through, I thought, wow, that's amazing to see what the transformation he made. And then Coach Keena. So unfortunately, we had, in our little announcement, we had 4 different speakers lined up. Coach Keena actually texted me this morning. She has the stomach flu, and so she's out of commission. She said she could still come, and I told her no way. So we do not, even though she has some great knowledge, we don't want the rest of whatever she could bring. So she's out of commission today, but we will have some great speakers. And so the first speaker that we're going to have is a gentleman by the name of Joe Stumpf. And I don't know if anybody knows who that is. Probably not a lot of people locally, but he's been a huge mentor for me in the real estate arena, because he actually is a real estate mentor and coach, and he built up this company called By Referral Only, and he coaches 5,000 of the top real estate agents in the country, and then he's got a select group, but there's about 50 of us, which are the top real estate agents in the country, and we meet with him on a quarterly basis down in San Diego. And as I've gotten to know Joe over the last couple of years, one of the things that really stood out to me was I watched as he transformed his life. He started training with a kettlebell, and he became kettlebell certified, and and then he kind of got bored with that, and so he started getting involved with CrossFit. And he started to do the CrossFit workouts, and he got kind of inspired by that. And then one day he came across Mark Devine, who was actually a former trainer for the Navy SEALs, and so he taught Navy SEALs for over 20 years, and what happened with Mark is the federal government, what they realized is when people went through the Navy SEALs training, you start that training, there are about 200 of these top athletes, and only about 20 people can actually graduate. They actually make it through the Navy SEAL training. And so they decided that they would incorporate a civilian version of the Navy SEAL training to kind of weed people out before they ever got to the Navy SEAL bud camp. And so they put together this 72-hour Navy SEAL Hell Week, but it's a 72-hour, no sleep, constant workout, crazy event. And Joe, being in his 50s, decided, well, I'll try that. I'll go against the 20-year-olds, and I'll do this event. And it was amazing to see the journey he went through, and to watch, because I was with him as he trained and got ready to do this the 72-hour ordeal, and it was amazing to see him go through that. And he actually wrote a book about it. It just came out a couple months ago, and I asked Joe, just as a personal favor, to kind of share his insights. And so he's out in California, so we're going to have him Skype in, and he's going to be on the screen with us. And is he on yet, or he should be on any minute? So he'll be kind of sharing what he learned as far as his experience as going through that experience. And I don't know if he'll tell all the stories, but one of them that really stood out to me was, I mean, obviously they're going on no sleep, and they're doing all these crazy workouts. And they start on a Friday afternoon, and they go all the way until that whole weekend. And Saturday night, I mean, everybody's exhausted by this time because they've gone the whole Friday night they spend in the ocean doing different exercises. They spend all Saturday doing different exercises. And then Saturday night, they put them in a van, and they drive them out to this mountain. And they have to climb this mountain. And they have 2 hours and with 45-pound packs on their back to climb. And they have to get up there by midnight is the cutoff. If they don't make it by midnight, whoever doesn't make it, they're out. And they get to the very top, and then they're allowed to eat one little MRE. That's their quote-unquote dinner that they finally are able to have. And then they have to get back down, and they put them back in their van. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive to get back to where they're at in San Diego. And on the drive back, they turn the heat all the way up in the van. And for every person that closes their eyes for longer than a second, they have to do 20 burpees as a group. So I don't know if you know what a burpee is, but you have to get down and stand up. And so there's a guy sitting in the front watching. So anybody who kind of starts to doze off, so that's 20 burpees for the group. That's 20 burpees for the group. And they just kept yelling them out. And so I think when they were all done, he said that they had to do over 1,000 burpees on that hour-and-a-half drive as a team. So great job, team. So yeah, so pretty crazy experience. So Joe is Joe on right now? Okay, let me go step over here and we'll get Joe lined up to come on board with us. So well, thanks for joining us, Joe. We'll get you over here on the screen. Can you guys see all right? You need to make that bigger? Should I make that? Right here, right? All right. Okay. So I'll hold the computer up so you can kind of see. There are some people here. Can you see the?
That's nice. Thanks, Aaron.
No problem.
Yeah. You know, and Aaron, I thank you for sharing my work with the people that you love. And it's probably the most significant acknowledgement that you can give anybody is to share their work with another person. And I know that, I know you, that you love yourself enough that you take care of yourself. You use our services to help guide you and coach you, and you take care of your spirit, you take care of your soul, and you do that because you know that you're able to take better care of other people when you take care of yourself. And I'm really grateful that you and I have crossed paths in this lifetime, and I'm sure everybody in the room also acknowledges that too, that what a beautiful gift that you are to us, that you are willing to do whatever it takes to be the best version of yourself so you can serve as many people as possible and do it in the most committed way. So thank you, Aaron, for being who you are.
Well, thanks.
I really feel very blessed to be with you, and thank you for inviting me into your life and sharing my work with the people that you love.
Thanks.
Thank you. There's a man, you guys know Gandhi. He wrote a quote, and he said, "We must be the change that we want to see in the world." I just love that thought. Whatever we want to change in the world, we must be that change first. And this morning, I'm in a hotel room here in Santa Monica, California, which is one of my favorite cities on the planet. I just love the energy up here. It's a beautiful time of the year. And I'm going to school in about 25 minutes. I decided that I was going to go back to school and get my master's degree in spiritual psychology. And it's a very unique degree. It's the only school in the United States that has this curriculum where we meet once every month all weekend. So we got up here on Friday afternoon. I've been in class from Friday last night at 5 o'clock until about midnight last night. And then we started at 10 o'clock today and we go until about 11 o'clock. And we do the same thing tomorrow on Sunday. So we do that one weekend a month for 2 years. And The curriculum is based on the belief that we are souls having a human experience. We're all just here trying to figure out how we can best navigate this human experience. And I decided to give this school to myself as a gift, because I was looking for a container where I could get the support and the love that I want in my life. And I wanted to do something that I had never done before. I wanted to commit to 2 years of being a student, not just a teacher, and really submit to someone else's curriculum and be part of a community, not lead a community. So Aaron may have told you, or maybe you might know this or not, but I have been very blessed to have built one of the largest real estate coaching communities in the world. And I've been leading that for the last 30 years. And what I was looking for was to be part of a community, not just lead the community. And I've never been part of something. I was always the leader of that. And so when I signed up for this curriculum, I've been challenged in ways that I could never imagine. I never knew what it took to be part of something as opposed to being the leader of something. So I'm in it right now. I'm in the midst of a transformation, learning all the issues that come up when I want to be in control and I want to be in charge and I want to lead, and I'm learning all these wonderful things. But I have some core beliefs that may assist you, or you may have already discovered, and I by no means make any assumption that I know anything more than you do. There's probably within the group here, you probably are all, doing some remarkable things at remarkable levels, and you're doing. All we can do is share our experience, and what my experience is all of life is for learning. All of life is for learning, and there is no failure. There's only repeated opportunity. So, I look at everything that I take on as, how can I learn? How can I learn something that I didn't even know that I didn't even know? And in the midst of taking on things that I don't know, I'm going to fail. And that's where I learn. I learn inside failure. I don't learn inside success. I learn when I stumble and I fall and I can't figure it out. And what I'm learning now in my life is the best thing I can do is, when I'm falling, is look for support, look for help, look outside of me, ask for love, ask for contribution, ask and then be open to receive it. And that's those are some new lessons for me that I'm learning at a whole new level. And my teacher said last night, I wrote this down in my journal. He said, what did I do? He said, the mind. He said this. He says, the mind is a tool to be used in service of the heart. The mind is a tool to be used in service of the heart. I love that thought. And that's, allowing myself to be supported and helped and guided is to, hey, my mind wants to do it on its own, but my heart really wants to be supported and loved and part of something. And I started this journey, this journey of going home. And I say going home because I believe that there's two parts to all of us. There's the ego part of us, the ego me, the part of me that is feeding my worldly needs, my goals, my ambitions, my financial needs, my physical needs, my emotional needs, all that ego stuff. And then there's another part of me, it's my authentic self. It's the part of me that is my spiritual self, the part of me that is the real me. So when I say me, the question I'm asking is, which me am I talking about? My ego me or my authentic self me? And I believe we're all headed home. I believe we're all headed, whatever path we choose, whatever faith we choose to get home, we're all headed towards authentic self. And one of the things that I did earlier in 2011 was took on a crucible experience where I wanted to see if I could become the oldest guy ever to survive the Navy SEAL civilian version of Hell Week. Now, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I picked that particular crucible experience, but I do know this from all my lifetime on the planet is that most of our significant change occurs in our lives when we're putting ourselves to a test. When we're doing something that we've never done before, we get to meet a version of ourselves that we don't even know. And so when my mentor at the time, Mark Devine, invited me into this experience. Mark is the commander of the Navy SEALs, and they're down in Coronado, and he invited me into this experience. He says, you know, very few people could ever make it through this. It was a 30-day experience where I moved into the SEAL Center for 30 days, and then the graduation was to go through a 50-hour, non-stop, no sleeping, very little eating, full-on physical endurance test. And we started out with a big group of guys, maybe I think it was 17 or 18 guys, and we finished with 6 or 7. And the interesting thing is that most of the guys that dropped out were 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, because they didn't have the mental toughness. They certainly were physically strong enough. They didn't have the mental toughness to find out who they really were under extraordinary pressure. And it's not until the pressure is really applied do we really see what's inside of us. I remember one of my teachers says, you know, the reason you know there's juice inside an orange is you squeeze it. And when you want to find out what's inside somebody, squeeze them, and you'll find out what's going to come out. And I just needed to be squeezed. I needed somebody that, in some experience, to really help me discover this level of authentic self that I wanted to experience. And so when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and my teacher came in the form of Mark Devine, and maybe some of you know that experience. It's like when Luke Skywalker finds Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like, whoa, this is amazing, and this is an amazing man who's just got this character and this way of being. I thought, boy, he's got something that I want. And it was this depth of authenticity and this depth of knowing who he really was and really trusting himself and not looking for my approval, but knowing that he knows, he trusts himself enough that you trust him automatically. He wouldn't say, trust me. You would just look at him and go, that guy is trustworthy. And I just found that those characteristics were characteristics I wanted to develop more in myself. So whenever I find that individual, that person, I say, okay, what's the experience that I have to go through in order to discover if that's within me, if I have that secret sauce? And that was my invitation into Kokoro. Kokoro, this is the I don't know if you can see that or not, this is a tattoo that you put on your arm if you choose to, that says you are a graduate of the Kokoro school. And that's my symbol of saying that if I can do that, I can do anything. And I embossed that onto my body. And I just want to share with you guys, just for a couple more minutes, just a couple of key principles that I got out of it. And then if you have any questions or if there's anything that you want to comment on, I welcome that, if the time allowed. But the experience was about discovering what Mark has come to call is the formula of 20x. And if you have something to write down that with, if you write down the numbers 20x 20 times, and what his invitation was is to find out if you could tap into the power of 20x. And 20x is your body is capable of 20 times more than what your mind says it is. So no matter what you're doing, there's 20 times more there. And the Kokoro experience is slowly stripping away all of the mind stuff so we can get down to the heart, because the heart is where the strength is. And that's why I started out by saying that my mind, I got to remove my mind so I can get down to the heart of the matter. And so what we learned was how to get there. And there's there was about 20 different lessons that I learned that helped me get to that place called Kokoro. And Kokoro is that same spirit that a person finds when they lift up a car and they save a loved one from being crushed to death. It's the same power that when somebody lifts up a tree so somebody can so they can escape, or a dog or a cat can escape from that. And then they put the tree down, and it's impossible to do it any other circumstances. It was only possible under this particular circumstance that a person find that strength, that physical strength, to do the impossible. And you know, you've heard of stories like this before. You've heard situations where people tapped into that strength. You know, maybe even tapped into it. She did something that was like unexplainable. And what I was constantly looking at was, what's the path to that strength? How do I get there? And one of the lessons that I got was, it's when I surrender to my team, when I make my #1 intention to create an experience for my team member that they finish. So let me explain. So when I went into it, I had this mindset, I've got to finish this. I got my daughters at the finish line waiting for me. I've got to finish it. I do not want to be embarrassed. I've already put it on Facebook. I already put it up on all my blogs that I'm doing the Kokoro experience. I don't want to be embarrassed. And what I found is all the attention was on the me, the ego part of the me. And over time, during the experience, it started to diminish me. That motivation wasn't strong enough to keep me going through. So we would have rucksacks on our back, 65, 70-pound rucksacks, hiking up a mountain, a 13-mile hike up a mountain at midnight with no flashlights. And we had to get up there in 2.5, 3 hours. And if we didn't, there were severe penalties. And the penalties were just bizarre, where we would have to do 1,000 burpees or 100 push-ups. And it was excruciating. And the guys were just dropping like flies and just saying, I'm out of here, I quit. And what I had to keep on doing was finding a deeper why. And it was during an experience where we were out in the water, and it was late at night, and you're dressed in your fatigues, and we're linked arms. There's about 14 of us linked arms at this time. And the guy next to me looks at me and he says, Joey, I'm getting out of here. And I looked at him, I said, no, man, don't stay, please stay. And he goes, no, I'm out of here. And he unlinked his arm and he walked up down to the beach and he rang the bell. Now, you can't get kicked out of this, you can only quit. And I sat there and I'm thinking, he doesn't know why he's here. And he thought he was there for himself. The truth was, he was a beautiful young man. He was 21 years old. He was a big, giant guy, big, giant bicep, big chest, fairly robust guy. And he was the guy that would keep me warm when we got out of the water. Since we got out of the water, he'd come over and he'd give me a big, giant hug. And I call it my man hug. It was like a big, warm hug. His name was Hunter. I'd say, Hunter, just give me that Hunter love. And I'd warm up instantly. And he quit. And he didn't realize he was there to keep me warm. And he would have been able to endure anything if he would have stopped focusing on him being cold and started focusing on, how do I keep Joey warm? And that's what I realized that night. I realized that as soon as I shift my focus onto what's happening to me, I diminish my strength and my power. But when I keep my focus on how can I do what's ever possible and make sure that you finish, I tap into a level of power and strength that just I don't have access to any other way. And it's called love. And it's authentic love. And it's the love for another man who has the same struggle, the same issues that you're having going on, but what you're doing is transcending your own and saying, I'm all about helping you get from where you are to where you want to be. And I experienced it over and over and over again from that point forward. And that happened right about the halfway point. And so I had a good 30, 35 hours of this spirit living inside of me. And I was able to do some amazing things. I mean, things that you guys were watching, you'd go, how does a 54-year-old man with one other guy take a 600-pound log and climb up a set of stairs. And I'd say, I don't know, but my only intention was to make sure the guy in front of me got up the stairs. That's all I wanted to do, is I kept pushing him up the stairs. And that's a spirit. That's a spirit that lives within all of us, that we can transcend our own pain, our own stuff, you know, like when we get past that. And you don't know what's inside of you until you get squeezed. And I was really blessed because I'm a journaler. I've been writing for years, and as soon as the Kokoro experience was over, I took a chunk of time off and I wrote a book about it called Willing Warrior, and we published it a couple of months ago, and it's become a bestseller. It's selling really well, and I'm getting so many beautiful letters from dads saying, I got my son reading this right now. It's, you know, and I get, you know, this little 10-year-old girl sent me this, the little card says, thank you for turning my mommy into a warrior. I just love that. And I'm really excited that maybe I can share that story with you guys if you're interested in looking at that story. If you can get it for $10 over. Can get put on your Kindle if you want to pick up a copy of it. But the point being is that if we're all souls having a human experience, and what we want to do is experience ourselves at our highest version, the very best version of ourselves. One of the paths, now there's many paths, one of the paths, the warrior's path, is perhaps to find an experience that you've never done before. If it's run a marathon, do a mud thunder, or do a Spartan race, or if it's just walk around the block as fast as you possibly can 10 times, whatever it is, or jump rope for an hour, whatever it is. Do something that you've never done before. And if you really want to tap into an experience that will test you at the ultimate, is do something no one's ever done before, and go into the experience looking for Kokoro, looking for the 20x factor, and finding that place within you that anything is possible. And it is possible. You know it's possible. You just want to be able to access that when you want. So those are some thoughts I have for you guys this morning. Any questions, or anybody have a thought that they want to share with me? I'd love to experience what you might be experiencing.
Any thoughts? Yeah.
Just the name of the book again.
Okay, could you repeat the name of your book, Joe, just so everybody knows it?
The name of my book is called Willing Warrior, and the subtitle is Unleashing, and I say unleashing because it's within all of us, unleashing the secret power of Kokoro, K-O-K-O-R-O. And you can look that word up. It's a Japanese word meaning full-heartedness. Full-heartedness, like you put your full heart into something. One of my favorite quotes of all times is from a guy named David White, who's a famous poet. He said, the antidote to exhaustion is full-heartedness. So whenever we're feeling somewhat exhausted or really not in the game 100%, get full-heartedly committed, and all of a sudden exhaustion goes away. Most exhaustion is a result of 1 foot in and 1 foot out, not fully committed. You know, like when you're half in and half out, you're in a relationship but you're not fully in the relationship, or you like the job but you're not really liking the job, and you get exhausted quickly. So that's what Kokoro is that full-heartedness. So a little more answer than you asked for.
Cool.
But,
great, thanks.
Yeah, please.
Other questions? Anybody else? Yeah.
He's very inspiring and motivating. I actually want to know his current age.
They want to know what your current age is. You're very motivating and inspiring. So are you willing to share that with everyone?
My current age?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 56 years old. I'm 56 right now, and I'm right now, I am in the best condition of my whole life right now. I'm training for the CrossFit Games, and I've taken on a whole new challenge. My intention is to win the CrossFit Games that are coming up soon. So I train 4 or 5 hours a day right now, and the games start on March 7th and go through April 8th. There's these qualifyings, then you go to LA in July. So I've got this vision that my next work in my lifetime is to inspire men over 50 to finish strong, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially, on all levels. And what I've been gifted is that the gift that the physical world opens up to you is that when you really feel physically strong, you've taken care of this temple that we've been given, and then you can go out into the world and emotionally and spiritually and psychologically you can connect at different levels. So I want to get this thing nailed where I can actually say I'm the fittest 56-year-old man on the planet. You've got to listen to me, men over 50, because you're finish strong. Because what I see is, I see men, as they get older, they start to lose their mojo. They kind of financially, emotionally, relationship-wise, socially, they get ready to recede as opposed to ready to proceed. And you guys, you know, what we need more in our world is more tribal leaders. We need more strong, wise, sage men leading us. And so that's what my next mission is to lead men in that direction. So I have to, you know, I'm doing it for myself. You know, whatever I want to learn, I first teach. You know, so I figure out what I need to do, and then I build a curriculum for myself, and I say, who wants to come along with me? And that's just the way that I've chosen to lead my life.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because my husband's afraid to age. And so seeing this inspiration, I think, helped me greatly.
Yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear that, Joe?
I heard that she appreciates the message because her husband is
afraid to age. He's afraid to age, and so
yeah, he's afraid to age.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid to lose mobility.
He's afraid to lose mobility, and he just doesn't want to get old, and so.
Well, that's a pretty good motivation. Fear motivation can get people inspired pretty quickly. I don't know how long you can sustain it, fear motivation, but I think it's what gets people at night. Most people run faster away from a fire than towards a fire engine. You get that metaphor?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like we move away from stuff more than we move towards. You know, the belief that I have, and see if it works for you or not, is that all beliefs turn into knowing through direct experience. And if you don't have a direct experience, you believe it, but you don't really know it. So I'm doing this training right now where you have to do handstand push-ups. It's like you get on your hands and you put your feet up against the wall and you're required to do 100 handstand push-ups. Now, when I first looked at this, I said, I believe I can do it, but I don't know I can do it. I believe I can do it. And then we started doing some training where we just go down a third of the way, then we go down, halfway, then we go down 2/3 of the way. And over about a 4-month period, we just keep layering that. And then finally, I was able to complete that task and get 100 handstand push-ups. And it took me an hour to do, but I got it done. And now I know I can do it. And it's very different than I believe I can do it. And so, like if your husband can shift to, I know that I can be stronger at 55 than I am at 50. I know I can be better at 60 than I am at 55. And that's what I'm getting right now is I know right now, in this moment, right here, Saturday morning, I've never felt better physically in my entire life. Ever. It's like, so I know it's possible that today you can be better than ever before. I know. Not believe it, I know it. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So wherever right now you're trying to challenge a belief, anything physically, let go of the belief and go directly experience it. Go have the direct experience. Go to CrossFit and do a pull-up. Just go do it. Get on your hands and do a push-up. Directly experience it. And then it shifts your whole life when you start to get engaged in it. Instead of the mental stuff, get into the direct experience of stuff.
Okay, so we have one last question, Joe, if that's all right.
I just wondered.
Okay, perfect.
I just wondered how he eats.
So one of the questions was, how do you eat, or do you eat? No. What?
I'm a paleist, so I believe in the paleo diet. I've been on that for a few years. A paleo is a lot of meat, a lot of protein. So yeah, lots of vegetables. No, what it doesn't have, no, very few carbs, very little, no bread. I'm gluten-free, and I shouldn't say no bread. I went to a birthday party the other night and I had a pizza, not a piece of pizza. I had a pizza. Delicious.
Yeah. Well,
but for the most part, I'd say I'm 80% paleo and 20% whatever in front of me.
Well, thanks for taking time, Joe, and sharing some insights. And so you're an inspiration to me. And I remember something you told me a couple months back when I said, you know, someday I'll be able to compete with you on some of these events, especially when I look at my age comparing to yours, and you just simply said, well, when you're ready to come out in the deep water, come on out and play. Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting. So I appreciate your insights. And
so you're waiting, like waiting in the water?
I don't know if that's it, but don't worry. I'll be ready. I'm coming for you. Don't worry. So.
Booyah.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks again, Joe.
Guys, have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Okay, bye, guys.
Hey, thanks again, Joe.